All right, Bills Mafia, let's go. Let's talk Buffalo Bills football. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, we've only done a few Bills videos. We are Lions fans. You can see the shirt, you can see that, but we love teams that the national media ignores. We as Lions fans understand that. And so we love the NFL. So this is a channel where we do videos on the little guy, so to speak. Bills, yes, you're in the national media. I get that. You have Josh Allen. You've been a fantastic team for the last, handful of years. But if that's not the case, you're not in the media. It just is based on your wins and your losses. So I wanted to talk about a few of the players that are looking better, that are starting to break out for the Bills, okay, as we're after this first preseason game. So here's kind of the questions that I want to ask you going in, then we'll talk about this. Hit that comment section below. Hopefully people pay attention to this. Number one, scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Bills season this year? Yes, you have Josh Allen. Yes, like you have some of these good pieces, and I understand that. Like I do. I understand the excitement because the offense is there. There's a lot of names that are newer to the team, a lot of question marks on a lot of positions. What is your excitement level right now for the Bills? And I think my second one is how important is the backup quarterback position to you? And that's our first standout that we're going to talk about when we're talking about players that were breaking out. And it's an interesting thing because as I've talked about a lot of different teams, because we have like 10, 15 different teams that we talk about on here. One of the things that I noticed that I thought was very interesting about the Bills is a lot of their players that are playing well, that are breaking out, are these guys that are in their mid to late 20s. It's not these really, really young guys, which kind of changes expectation or changes excitement level, I think, to an extent, because you're wondering, like, okay, what is the ceiling? What is the cap on this? So, for example, one of those guys is Matt Barkley. As you can see, dude is right here. He was 14 of 15, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Immediate first drive that he got into the game, he drove it right down the field, was absolutely fantastic. Went 6 of 7, had 75 yards, loft a 22-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Tyrell Shavers. That's another name we're going to talk about in just a minute. But he played really, really well and never looked back. He was just solid. Now, we know he's going against players that aren't as good, but it still has to be exciting. And that's why when we go down here, I'm going to talk about receivers first, then we're going to go into the running back conversation. All right, then we'll go into the running back conversation. But there were 3 wide receivers that stood out. And then there's still the one where you're like, okay, maybe let's see what he has. One was Andy Isabella. If you are not familiar with who Andy Isabella is, he is this guy that is an absolute speedster. He came from the Arizona Cardinals. He was drafted by Arizona, and it was kind of him and Christian Kirk. And you thought these things were going to go well, and you just didn't know. And Andy Isabella just never put it together. But he's a guy who came out. He was a 4.31 40 guy, like a 4.3 40 guy. That's pretty impressive. And if he can catch on, and it looks like, based on what we're hearing early in camp, that there's good rapport with the quarterbacks, like he has the ability to take the top off the defense, unlike anybody else on this roster. Now, don't get me wrong. Diggs obviously is your best deep threat. He is an unbelievable catcher of the football, whether it's contested, whether it's getting open. There's nothing Diggs can't do. We know that. Okay. But what I'm saying is Andy Isabella becomes one of the faster wide receivers that we've seen that also has quicks. So he played really well. That's something to be excited about. And that's the question. Who are you more excited about right now? Isabella, Tyrell Shavers, or Desmond Patman? All right, so let's talk about Desmond Patman next. If you're not familiar with this, I like talking about the RAS, the Raw Athletic Score, or yeah, whatever it's called. Yeah, Raw Athletic Score. This guy has elite size at 6'4", 225. He has long arms, big enough hands, And then he has good speed. He ran a 4.48 40, splits at the 20 at 2.64, at the 10-yard split 1.57. All were good. His broad jump was elite. His vertical jump was good. His agility, in other words, the short shuttle and the three cone, absolutely atrocious. Very, very poor. So he did not, but he still scored out at an 8.44. That's good. Like, that's good. And this is a guy, we saw him at Washington State, even did it a little bit better on, his pro day with Washington State. So I think that's kind of cool. So Patman's your first guy. He had some good stuff, but he's just this tall, not extremely fast guy. And then you have Tyrell Shavers, who is the epitome of just a big body. He's over 6'4". He's 211 pounds. His RAS was very, very bad. He does not have good agility. He's not that fast. He's a 4.6 guy. He ran the 40 the same as what a fast tight end would run it. There's just not a lot there. And then you have a guy like Khalil Shakir, who is very fast, 4.4. But is Isabella already better than him, is the question that you have to ask yourself. So where are you at with this wide receiver room? Are you excited about it? Like, I think that's the question. Behind Diggs, are you excited? And I think the other question you have to ask yourself is, where are you at with Gabe Davis? Because I think behind Diggs and Davis, it's wide open. It's wide open. There's no reason a guy like Patman, there's no reason a guy like Shorter, there's no reason a guy like Shavers or Isabella can't make this roster. It's just a bunch of guys. But can Josh Allen make them a dude? And speaking of dudes, one guy who I think is going to be a dude this year is right here. Well, I can't highlight it, but James Cook. Oh my goodness. Looking like his brother. And here's the thing about Cook last year. We understand that there was a fumble, there was a couple drops, and it was hard for him to get on the field. We know that this offense is shockingly hard to learn. And I understand running back, it should be a little bit easier, but we know this is an extremely complex offense. He already looked more comfortable in it. But last year, he ran 4 times for 20 yards. That's nothing new. Last year, he had 89 carries for 5.7 yards per carry. This is a guy, if you can get him in the middle rounds of a fantasy football draft, please do it. He could have a phenomenal year. This could be a league winner for you. His rushing grade for PFF was an 80.3. His receiving was a 72. He did not have bad numbers when it comes to like traditional numbers type stuff. He really didn't. It was really good. So if you just think that you can give him more touches, more reps, now he's shy of 200 pounds. So he's never going to be a guy that you're going to hand the ball off to 300 times. But if you can get him close to 250, 300 touches, running the ball almost 200 times, give him 100 targets, right? Get him in that 250 touch range. This could be an absolute difference maker for your team. It just flat out could. So when we're looking at this, yes, there has to be an excitement. I will go back to the backup quarterback, though, as we end this video. Are you a Barkley guy or a Kyle Allen guy? Because behind Josh Allen, all you want is a guy, if he gets hurt, that can come in and do decently well for a little bit. And I will say, if you're still watching this video, there is one thing that I thought was cool. Josh Allen was actually calling plays in that second half. They didn't want to give him too much credit. They wouldn't say how much it was, but a lot of those plays were called by him. I love the buy-in. I love that he was doing it. I love that he was good enough to do it. It just shows that he's in sync enough that he has this thing down, which you would expect. So level of excitement, let me know, and who's the wide receiver of choice. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.